Hello everybody, it's Hater. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video. And as you guys can see from the beginning part of this video, the fated Snowglobe strat is back. For those who don't know what the Snowglobe strat is, this was a strat that a group of my clanmates and myself invented that Bungie inevitably nerfed. To put it simple, if you spawn a bubble from a bubble titan, this was before it got nerfed, you could use the behemoth super and continuously right click inside of the bubble and it would cause the crystals to explode the moment that they spawn, meaning they're going to deal a massive amount of damage extremely fast. A few patches ago, as I just mentioned, Bungie nerfed the ability to do this by removing the ability to spawn stasis crystals inside of a bubble. But with the addition of exotic glaives coming from Witch Queen, specifically the Void one for the Titan, the Edge of Action, it allows us to use this strat once again. Because if you're not familiar, the Edge of Action is the exotic glaive you can either craft from the quest line or earn from the Wellspring activity if you've already crafted one. And its exotic perk is going to allow us to create a mini Ward of Dawn whenever we have max shield energy and we hold the reload button. For some reason inside of Bungie's coding, that mini bubble is also considered a Ward of Dawn, or at least it was on the previous patches. The huge plus from this is now we don't need a second person to have on bubble. The downside is that we can't run tractor cannon for ourselves. But honestly, I don't even think that matters. This just increases the damage tenfold. Because if you guys aren't familiar with how the damage of this strat works, I did a little bit of math for this. Using Kali as my damage test dummy, I lay my bubble on top of her, and then I start using my Behemoth Slam. If you're unfamiliar with the Behemoth Slam, it creates 6 stasis crystals every time that you slam. Throughout the entirety of the super, you're able to slam 8 times. Each one of those crystals are going to deal 9,612 damage. If we multiply that by 6 for one slam, it's gonna be 57,672. Multiply that again by 8 for the entire super, and we're dealing 461,376 damage base. Now, of course, that doesn't really sound like a whole lot of damage because we're not accounting for a lot of things going into the super. If you notice at the end of the clip, I did much more damage than what I said. This is because I'm not accounting for the RNG or the really weird effects that come with stasis supers. And honestly, I don't really want to sit here for another like 5 minutes talking about the intricacies of stasis shatter damage. So just note that there is going to always be extra damage, about 15 to 20% of your super damage added on top of it. The interesting thing though that I did just mention is that that was our base damage. We can still add the exotic arms Syntheseps to this equation and add 50% more damage to all of that. And then if we have another Titan in our group using tractor cannon, we can also add a 30% debuff to the enemy we're hitting. So again, for the math, this is going to look a little different because now we have to multiply everything by 1.5 and then 1.3 at the same time multiplicatively. And just to keep it simple so I'm not confusing you guys, we're just going to use the base damage of 1 crystal so that we can simulate what it's like to have 6 Behemoth Titans on your team using this strat. So again, for the math, the base damage of 1 crystal is 9,612. If we multiply that by 1.50 and then 1.30 at the same time, the base damage of 1 crystal in our Behemoth super with both Syntheseps and Tractor Cannon on at the same time is going to be 18,743. If we then take that number and multiply it by 6, the damage of every right click that we deal is going to be 112,458. And then again, multiply that same number by 8, and we're dealing 899,683 damage for our entire super. Keep in mind what I said earlier, guys. This is 900,000 damage now without all of the shatter damage and extra damage that comes with the super. If I could hazard a guess, this is easily dealing over 1 million damage per Titan on our team. Speaking of which, let's multiply that 900,000 by 6 and see just how much damage we're going to be dealing with a full fire team. So again, 899,683 times 6 is going to result in 5,398,098 total damage, minus all of the extra bonus damage we get from Shatter in our super. That is a lot of damage. Of course, this is all calculated on Kali, and if you guys want to comment anything that I missed maybe on the Snowglobe strat or any kind of damage numbers, feel free to leave them down in the comments and let other people know. Stasis crystals really hurt my brain. But now that we've completely gone over how the Snowglobe strat works and just how much damage it's able to deal and kill any raid boss in the game that stands still, let's talk about a build we can use with it. And basically what I aimed for in this build is, because there's not really a lot that you can really do with it, Stasis is super flexible right now, and I really wish Bungie would add new mods to the game so that I could make a even better Stasis build. But the whole goal of this entire build as of right now is to gain all of our abilities back as fast as possible and then freeze things so we can stall out for our super. Starting with the subclass, we're using the aspects Tectonic Harvest and Diamond Lance. Both of these are going to give us 5 fragment slots, and whenever we shatter stasis crystals, it's going to create stasis shards, and then whenever we kill anything that is affected by stasis abilities, we create a stasis lance that we can throw to freeze enemies or slam to freeze multiple enemies. For the fragments, starting with the left, Whisper of Fissures. This is going to increase the damage and burst of our stasis crystals whenever we destroy stasis crystals. This is the best fragment in the game for our build. This is going to synergize with any headstone weapon we use and the overall damage of our super. Whisper of Shards is going to be the next fragment. This is going to give us grenade energy back every time we destroy stasis crystals. This is also one of the best fragments to use in the game. We destroy a crystal from headstone or even our ice wall, and we gain a bunch of grenade energy back to throw another ice wall and repeat the process. This is also going to synergize with Tectonic Harvest and create free stasis shards on demand. Whisper of Rime, this is more of a free slot, but I personally like using it because stasis shards will now give us overshield every time we pick them up. If you don't like this fragment though, you could trade it out for Whisper of Rending to destroy stasis crystals much easier with your kinetic weapons. Whisper of Conduction is going to be the next fragment. Nearby stasis shards track to our position and give us a bump in 2 different stats. Pretty self-explanatory, it's just a great quality of life fragment. And then finally, Whisper of Chains. This is going to really keep our survivability at its max. While we're near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystals, we take reduced damage. Nothing else to it, free survivability on demand. Now moving on over to the loadout and the armor itself, like we talked about earlier, Edge of Action is going to be your main exotic weapon. You can mix and match any kind of different thing you want with it. I like using a heavy LMG. You could use any kind of sword or even a heavy rocket launcher, pretty much anything that you are comfortable with. For your kinetic weapon though, I do recommend it be a stasis weapon with the headstone perk. You get a headshot with this weapon, it creates a stasis crystal on the ground where that enemy died. Basically free AoE damage and grenade energy every time you get a headshot kill with it. I'm using the P-Spawn because anti-barrier sidearms are back, but you could also use pretty much anything else that rolls this perk. For the armor now though, we're going to need a few armor energies for this build. We're going to need at least 1 piece of armor stasis, 1 piece of armor arc, and then 2 pieces of our armor solar. I'll get more into why we have that energy in a second, but starting off at the helmet, mine is my neutral piece and we're using the mod Elemental Charge. This is going to allow us to become charged with light every time we pick up a elemental well, and then if it matches our subclass typing, we gain 2 stacks instead of 1. This is going to act as our main resource for the entire build. Again, I want to note, if you guys don't have any of these mods in the build, HaterTheOne down in the tower does have a rotation daily of different mods if you don't have them. For the other mods that we're using next to it, I do like to pair Harmonic Siphon with my build so that we can get Orbs of Power to drop and gain our super as fast as possible. You could easily play around with different mods of your preference. This is just what I like to use as a way to gain my super faster. Moving on down to the Syntheseps, this is the armor piece I recommend that you have stasis because of the mod Elemental Shards. What this mod does is whenever we pick up a stasis shard, the first one we pick up every 10 seconds on a cooldown is going to count as a stasis elemental well, meaning every 10 seconds that we have a elemental shard proc, it's going to give us 2 stacks of Charge with Light from Elemental Charge, creating a practically infinite resource of Charge with Light stacks. And to spend those stacks of Charge with Light, starting over at the chest piece now, this is the piece we're using as Arc. I personally like using Heavy-Handed. It's going to give us half of our melee attack back every time we use our melee attack, consuming 1 stack of Charge with Light. Its sole purpose is to help us apply the slow effect on our melee every time that we have it up. I will note though, if you're not a fan of that, you could easily trade this out for Font of Might and have more damage on your Stasis weapons. For the other 2 mods next to it, we're using Armor of the Dying Star and an Arc Resistance so that we take reduced damage from Solar, Void, and Arc damage at the exact same time. Moving now to the boots, for our second spender mod, we're using Firepower. While Charged with Light, we regain a portion of our grenade back every time we use our grenade, consuming 1 stack of Charge with Light. This is just going to give us an extra bump in our grenade energy to help synergize with Whisper of Shards in the long run. And then of course, I'm using a Innervation and Recuperation mod next to it just to synergize with my Harmonic Siphon. Finally though, moving down to the class item. This is where we're using, yet again, another Firepower mod. These mods do stack and they will increase the benefit for each one that is equipped. As for the other 2 mods that I'm pairing with it, it is going to be 2 Bombers. Yet again, even more grenade energy to gain our Ice Wall back whenever we use our class ability. Overall though guys, that is going to be the build for today's video. I honestly can't believe that the Snowglobe strat returned after Bungie nerfed it, but I'm going to assume they're going to hotfix this sometime soon, maybe within the next few weeks. So use it while you can and enjoy it while it lasts. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like on the video, then comment down in the comment section anything that I missed or any kind of builds you want to see in the future. If you really enjoy the kind of content that I do, then feel free to subscribe and also hit the bell to be notified whenever a new build video goes out. I also stream over at Twitch sometimes. If you guys are interested, that'll be down in the description also. You can usually catch me live at 7 p.m. Eastern every single day. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Bye bye.